You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
Thanks to Concordia University, Wisconsin for supporting The Coffee Hour. Find out more about Concordia University, Wisconsin at cuw.edu.
Live uncommon.
Today is December 6th, special commemoration today. So we had to go all the way to the North Pole, or pretty close. Pretty close to the North Pole in Alaska. Joining us today, the Reverend Amadeus Gandy. He's LCMS Chaplain at Eielson Air Force Base in Alaska. Chaplain Gandy, welcome back to the Coffee Hour.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be back.
It is good to chat with you. It's been a while since we've chatted, caught up on what's going on in way up north at the Air Force Base in Alaska. I remember one conversation we had, a really fun one a couple of years ago, talking about our happy hobbits.
Happy hobbies.
Happy hobbies.
I mean, hobbits are also happy.
Happy hobbies. Sorry.
You think?
I'm just so excited
happy
about today's
hobbit.
topic. Happy hobbies. Today's topic is one that, well, I've seen pictures on Facebook that tell me that you might be an expert on this. Today, the church commemorates Nicholas of Myra. Did I get that right? Is it Myra? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Today, the church commemorates Nicholas of Myra. So what is Nicholas of Myra most well known for, Chaplain?
So he is most known for being, today we call him Santa Claus, but it's derivative of the Saint Nicholas that's gotten us to Santa Claus today.
So how did we get there? What is his backstory?
So probably going to have to go back, got to do my math here, 1,800 years, something like that. So Nicholas, Saint Nicholas, is a 4th century bishop. So it's a testament of him, where he's still honored today, these many years later. There are some confusing things about him to this day. But even so, being that old back in the 4th century, there's actually very little known historically about him as like a factual being, a person. And despite there are numerous legends and stories of St. Nicholas, even though there's very little to know about, he's one of the most popular figures, sure, even today. So we're going to go way back then, and then to get to St. Nicholas now, and go through a lot of different things. If you're ready for the ride.
I'm ready. Let's go way back. What do we know historically about Nicholas of Myra?
So historically, what we can say for certain was that there was a real man by the name of Nick in the particular region of Myra, and that he had a successor and a predecessor, and that there are even accounts of this bishop by the name of Nicholas's presence at the Council of Nicaea. And there's another famous legend that comes with that story, but we'll wait for that. He was born in the region of Pera and grew up in the faith around that time, had a mom and dad, had some people that were close in his circle that hinted at his historical existence. And then not much is known for quite a little bit of period of time before churches start popping up bearing his name. And then additional traditions and legends start to become more widespread, and the popularity of his story increases around the 1100s or so. And then another little pause, and then he explodes again at the founding of the Americas. His legend coming over Protestants into America, and then finally the legend that we have today of Santa Claus. Apart from the basic historical things of a guy in the 4th century by name, everything else is kind of filled in by stories, maybe accounts of people's dreams, visions, prayers, bishop.
So what are some of those legends that are associated with St. Nicholas?
So I've got, about 7 or so legends that are consistent through some different resources that I've procured over some time. And we could go through them, but I want to highlight at least 3 of them. If we can't get through all of them, to just dive into at least 3 of them. Because interestingly enough, St. Nicholas is also commemorated in the Treasury Daily Prayer. And there's a fascinating prayer that they use for his collect. He highlights these legends. So one of the first legends that he's most known for, I think is the most popular legend, is possibly the origin of Santa Claus sneakily delivering gifts into your house at night. And so if you could imagine St. Nicholas back then, he was born of great wealth. His parents died, as the legend goes. And so he inherited quite a sum of money. And being already a monk or a future bishop, he already had intended on giving all this wealth away. Well, as the legend goes, he encountered a man with 3 young daughters. Fortunately, he didn't have a dowry to produce for either of his daughters. And so he had resorted to do some less than desirable things to get his daughters into a home, but also to get his financial situation back. St. Nicholas heard of this, and in the darkness of the night, he snuck into the house, tossed in a purse of gold coins that the father could use as a dowry for his oldest daughter. And the next day, he found the coins right there. They didn't know what to do with it. Or he knew what to do with it, but didn't know who to thank for it. And so he prayed, thanking God that now he had this purse of coins, and so he could marry off his daughter in a more reputable, more quality reputation. And then the story goes that Nicholas did this for 2 more nights, tossing in 2 additional purses, the other 2 daughters. And over time, the story kind of blew up, and the tradition of giving gifts and the originated grew out of this. And now we get a big man, jolly man in a red suit, doing similar in a big purse of toys. So that's one of the legends. What do you think about that?
I could see how a lot of our understanding, our depictions of St. Nicholas or Santa Claus today come from that, certainly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know. So if you ever see his pictures, he's usually his iconography, his portraits, he's holding 3 gold orbs. And these over time have transformed from purses into just 3 gold orbs. And by purses, I mean, speaking of Hobbit, medieval times, you put purse, a sack of coins there. Him holding 3 purses of coins there, and it just kind of transformed to orbs. When you have a gold sack of 3 gold sacks, like orbs, eventually they kind of look like oranges. And so then oranges get brought into his story as item of fruit, a dish, a delicacy enjoyed on December 6th, shared and given. And so in some churches, there's actually a blessing on it, kind of commemorate that image and holding the orbs.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So that's one legend. Do you have others?
Yes.
Regarding St. Nicholas? All right.
I'll say this one, and then I'll leave the third one is a little bit more gruesome. But the second one is he is, as a monk, he's very spiritually focused, and he wants to make a pilgrimage to the Holy City. And so he boards a ship on his way there. The entire crew and boat experience a tempest of a storm there on the sea. St. Nicholas is known to offer a prayer on behalf of everybody there. It invigorates everyone to just steadfast, believe that God grant them safe passage. And then immediately the storm calms. Like another story we know from Scripture. The storm calms and everyone makes it safely to shore. And they all praise God and give thanks to Nicholas being on the ship. And so oversimplification of the story there, but St. Nicholas as a result becomes known now as a patron saint of sailors, because they look to St. Nicholas to help them through whatever tempest.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And different amalgamations of that legend is that sailors were coming to seize Nicholas when he was Bishop of Myra, and they experienced a tempest. They prayed to St. Nicholas, although he was living, and Nicholas visited them in apparition or vision like that, or they heard his voice and prayers, and the tempest calmed. Well, a different version of that story, but that particular legend surrounds fishermen at sea. That's why he's known today by the Catholics, the Orthodox, as a patron sailor.
Huh. Very cool. Do you have I know you said the next one is a little gruesome.
It is, but uniquely or intimately ties him to also being known as a generous and loving man towards children. So there was a story about, I'll just highlight it so we don't have to get into detail. 3 children were murdered and dismembered and put away at this inn. St. Nicholas happened to be on his way through, on his way somewhere, and he stopped at this inn, had a dream, if you will, that some crime was committed there, and investigated and found this container with these children in there. He prayed, and all the children were brought back to life. And yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he's a saint over children on that. That's kind of the foundation of that, but it continues as he uses his inheritance to donate to the poor and the needy and providing for the children, as well as back to the gold coins and empathizing and sympathizing since he
We are learning about the history of Nicholas of Myra, commemorated by the church today, along with a few legends as well associated with Saint Nicholas. We have more to learn about with Chaplain Amadeus Gandy at Eielson Air Force Base in Alaska. We'll continue the conversation in just a moment right here on the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
At Concordia University, Wisconsin, we believe you were created for a reason: to use your God-given gifts to help others, to live a life of self-sacrifice in a me-first world, to live a life that's uncommon. Whether you're taking one of 50-plus online programs or learning with us in person on the shores of Lake Michigan, you'll be equipped to make an uncommon impact. Learn more at cuw.edu. Concordia University, Wisconsin. Live uncommon.
Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
We are learning about Nicholas of Myra, commemorated by the church today, December 6th. Also a few legends associated with St. Nicholas. Our guest today is Chaplain Amadeus Gandy. He serves as LCMS Chaplain at Eielson Air Force Base in Alaska. I mean, it's fitting that we went up north to talk about St. Nicholas today. Chaplain Gandy, you've shared with us some stories. We only know a little bit of history about Nicholas of Myra, but there certainly are many legends as well surrounding Nicholas, known as St. Nicholas. Now, what are some of the perhaps traditions? You shared a few traditions that have come out of the stories of Nicholas of Myra, such as the oranges that became a gift associated with St. Nicholas and the day that the church commemorates him because of the orange orbs in the iconography remembering St. Nicholas. What are some other traditions that are associated with the commemoration of Nicholas of Myra?
So with Nicholas, one of the traditions is to have the children put their little shoes over or in front of the fire, kind of like where we get, it might be an origin for where we get our stockings over the fireplace, but to put their shoes by the fireplace or outside. And if St. Nicholas was in the area, he would stop by and he would deposit some sweets, nuts, trinkets, oranges, gold coins into your shoes. And the children will wake up that day and receive the wonderful gifts that they were not expecting. So very close akin to the gold coins getting deposited in the window of the Father, as well as our gift-giving celebrations at Christmas today.
That you do with your family and your kiddos.
All right. So I actually do this one. So St. Nicholas will visit my house. I can either confirm or deny that I dress up as old St. Nicholas and make an appearance at the door of the house. The kids are awake, so I do dress up as St. Nicholas. We did a session. No, we didn't do a session yet on me sewing, but I sew. And so we made a little mitre or bishop's coat, and I've got a little bird staff upstairs, kids' toys, and I use that. And I'll come visit the house and deposit some oranges and gold coins into the kids' shoes. I may or may not get a glimpse of St. Nicholas. And then I'll run out of the house, change, come back in. And of course the kids are like, Daddy, you're St. Nicholas. You've never seen me and St. Nicholas in the same room. So we do that. We also have, there's a lot of baking traditions that surround us today as well. Oh, I didn't do one legend. Let me go backwards because we cannot have St. Nicholas fruit punch without the legend of him at the Council of Nicaea. As the story goes, St. Nicholas was present, was one of the 318 bishops at the Council of Nicaea. 325 thing called for the entire church to solidify their beliefs, and so they all came together, all the bishops. One, at the Council of Nicaea, you have this heated debate over the divinity of Christ, and a staunch or an adversary against the divinity of Christ, and it's the eternal divinity of Christ, is Arius. It's known as Arius. Arius stands up and defends his position against everybody else's on the divinity of Christ. St. Nicholas was so passionate about confessing Christ as being true God and true man. That's nice. He got up and punched Arius in the face. Some legends say he open palmed, slapped him in the face. But I like the legend of him curling his fists and being real passionate about defending his faith, and letting his passions get the best of him, and really giving it to Arius. And so he punched Arius. And so you'll also find some wonderful art depiction that's punching Arius at the Council of Nicaea. So, to honor his confession and passion, you can celebrate by drinking a St. Nicholas fruit punch.
We'll learn more about Arius and Arianism tomorrow. As we learn about, as the church commemorates Ambrose of Milan tomorrow. Yeah. So we'll learn a little bit more about that and Arianism. That's a whole nother conversation.
A whole different can of
worms. So do you have fruit punch at your household on St. Nicholas Day too? Is that right?
Yes, we do. And it pairs nicely with St. Nicholas Speculaas. So it's a spice cookie. It's appropriate around this time of the year when a lot of other spice gingerbread cookies are being made.
Aha. So there's baking going on at the Gandy house too.
Oh, yes. And this isn't so much a St. Nicholas tradition as it is a Gandy tradition, but we'll bake all the goods during Advent. So we'll participate in a little mini fast, Advent fast. And so we kind of keep from eating all the sweets, but we bake them all, freeze them all, and then on Christmas Eve, open it all and feast on cookies. And my favorite cookie to eat is
those are good.
But wait, the commemoration of St. Nicholas, though, is December 6th at the beginning of Advent.
I know.
Do you get to have them then too, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
You get to break the fast on some days, right? So
right.
We do enjoy it there and seal the rest of them up and enjoy them later.
Very good. So what do your kids think of St. Nicholas? Do they have a favorite part of this tradition?
They do. They like sticking their shoes out, waiting for St. Nicholas to stop by. We also have a pretty robust children's library in our house of St. Nicholas books. So there's encouragement to listeners with kids. If you're trying to steer them away from kind of the Santa Claus idea to more historical as well as legends of St. Nicholas, there are plenty of books out there, children's books, that highlights St. Nicholas as a bishop, St. Nicholas and all stories, reorienting everybody's understanding up into more.
Why is it important to you as a parent to have these traditions as well as the lessons in the history with your children?
So to answer that, kind of want to bring in that I don't know if this is true or not. Learned this recently from a second resource, but the same reason we should highlight the true St. Nicholas instead of Santa Claus for children is the same reason Martin Luther defended St. Nicholas as a historical figure too, back in the time of the Revolution. As the story goes with Martin Luther, when we have iconoclasm, the iconoclasts, those who are rejecting the imagery, worst misunderstanding of worship of images and icons, those types of reformers threw the baby out with the bathwater, so it's got rid of everything that resembled Catholic. And so, in addition to throwing out all these icons, they actually threw out all the saints, celebration of the saints, daily church and activities that maybe we can thank Martin Luther for this, but on December 6th, most everyone else was celebrating the gift-giving exchange part of Christmas. So it's disassociated, if you will, from December 6th. All the gift exchange happened on December 6th. Well, Luther said, don't throw out the whole thing, but maybe we ought to really celebrate and highlight that it's Christ is the gift to the world, and that our gift-giving is spawned from Christ's gift, or God's gift to us. And that we can exchange these gifts on the true, proper day of celebrating gift. So as the story goes, Martin Luther that kept this gift-giving tradition and highlighting St. Nicholas as on who should be celebrated on December 6th. Gift-giving, the result of the gift that we have in Christ should be celebrated. And so, or at least whatever. And so the gift-giving got moved to December 5th. But in line with what Martin Luther did, we ought to teach our kids the reason for the season, so to speak, is Christ. And what we get in Santa Claus is totally different theology, totally different understanding of gift and ultimately of grace. Because with Santa Claus, we have a naughty and nice list, and that inherently produces things. Works righteousness, and your children trying to earn and merits your grace or merits the gift treat. And so by pointing to Jesus, is what St. Nicholas, Bishop of Myra, does, is points us to Christ. And if you are in a church where you get to celebrate his commemoration and they use liturgical colors, his color that's used for his liturgy is white. And usually those commemorations, the feast days that white intentionally are pointing everything this man has done, this person has done in life back to Christ. That's what St. Nicholas accomplishing, pointing us back to Christ. Not so much Santa Claus.
So how does the commemoration of St. Nicholas fit into the rest of the year? I know you have traditions for a lot of different Saint commemoration days with your kids.
Yep. So to speak about that, I want to look at the prayer, the collect for St. Nicholas. What we don't do, here's a misconception we're talking about our saint calendar and saints. We aren't venerating these saints. We aren't worshiping them. We are directing all our petitions to God, and yet reflecting on these people who have lived godly lives, faithful lives, as all faithful members apart from this earth are saints. And use them as an example on how to live out our lives and how to endure some of the sufferings and temptations and experience we get in our life. So here's the collect for St. Nicholas. And I think most people if you can easily access the Treasury of Daily Prayer, you can see the collect in there. But in the petition there, you bestowed upon your servant Nicholas of Myra the perpetual gift of charity. Grant your church the grace to deal in generosity and love with children. So you can reflect on the legends that have to do with children there. And all who are poor and distressed, and plead the cause of those who have no helper. There's 3 girls who receive the gold coins, especially those tossed by tempests of doubts or grief. And there you have the legend of the sailor that's with that vivid language of tempest. And we ask this for the sake of him who gave his life for us, your son, our Savior. So St. Nicholas, along with all the other saints in the church and all the different other traditions that we instill and ground our help keep their lives oriented around Christ. What a beautiful thing to teach and leave our children and these traditions that always point to Christ.
May all our traditions certainly point to Christ. Our guest today, the Reverend Amadeus Gandy, chaplain for Eielson Air Force Base in Alaska. Chaplain Gandy, thanks so much for being our guest today and helping us learn more about Nicholas of Myra, commemorated by the church today, December 6th.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You've been listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support The Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@KFUO.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.